Yeah, the orange is the same thing. Yeah. Okay. I got the orange number, lots of searches. This is red, so rain, freshy. All right, so Rob, you want to start checking?
I will. I don't know.
I think we can probably, we have to do it first.
Yeah.
Too, right. I'm sure we can hear one another in this room, but
That's fair. I don't know.
We might not have the speakers on, we don't.
I don't know. There we go.
There you go. Hey, good job.
There we go. Okay, hi, I'm Robert. I am well. I have no time constraints. We have Dr. Johnston is missing, but she will be late, and Suzette Rivera will also be late. Have no elephants. My expectation is to continue to make progress.
Hi, I'm Will Rothberg. I am doing well. No time constraints, missing Kevin.
Oh, on their side.
Yeah, Kevin Daly. Looks like Mario.
Iris.
Lashonda. No elephants. Expectations. I like Danny's comment about orange circles. So we go with orange circles.
Good evening, I'm Heather Leonard. I'm doing well tonight. I don't have any time constraints outside of our normal ending time. I believe the missing have already been noted. No elephants and expectations, I'll go with orange circles.
Hi, my name is Amy and I am fabulous. No time constraints, no elephants, and my expectations are that I catch up a little bit.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Kevin Kelfie. I'm doing well. I have no time constraints. Missing has been noted. No elephants. And expectations is continue to make progress.
All right, my name is Carl. I'm doing fine. No time constraints. I think also Jessica Duncan is missing.
Oh, yeah.
And no elephants. Expectations, continue to make progress.
Good afternoon, my name is Ben, I'm doing great. I have no time constraints. The missing is noted. I do not have any elephants. And the expectation is to continue to make progress.
Good evening, my name is Helen. I'm doing well. I have no time constraints. Missing has been noted. I have no elephants and my expectations are to continue to make progress.
Hi, I'm Mike. I'm doing great. I have no time constraints. Missing is noted, no elephants, and expectation continue to make progress.
Ann Cole, I'm doing well. No time constraints. Missing is noted, no elephants, and expectations are continue to make progress.
Thank you.
All right. My name is Kurt Fazone. I'm doing well. No time constraints. I think missing's noted. And no elephants. I'll go with continue to make progress.
Good afternoon, I'm Jill Castellano, APCT at Varsity Middle.
I think it has to do with like the either or something.
I'm a PCT at Varsity Middle, and I am the Vice President of TALC. I don't have any time constraints. I believe Heather Leonard is also missing. There you are, someone said, oh, see, I can't see, okay, sorry, Heather. Elephants none, and expectations are in circles.
I am Anna Witten. I am a third grade teacher at Colonial Elementary as well as the TALC secretary. I'm doing fine. I have no time constraints. Missing is noted, although Mario is here. No elephants, and I would like to continue to make progress.
I'm going to say just, I didn't see, I can't read it up there. I'm going to say just, Heather, not in my card.
Good afternoon, my name is Shay Pearson. I am a testing coordinator at Island Coast High School. I am also the treasurer at TALC. I have no time constraints, missing is noted, no elephants, and I'd like to continue to make progress.
Good afternoon, my name is Amy Johnson. I am a 6th grade ELA teacher at Mariner Middle School. I am doing well today. I have no time constraints. Missing has already been noted, and I have no elephants. I will do orange circles.
Good afternoon, Mario Doristel. I'm doing well. I teach mathematics at Fort Myers High. And missing is noted, no elephants, and I'd like to, what we're doing, orange circles. Thank you.
I'm Christina Starrett. I'm K-5 art teacher at Tortuga. Doing well, no time constraints, missing is noted, no elephants, and continue to make progress, please.
Louis Fisher, Director of Instrumental Music at Gateway High School. Doing fine, have no time constraints, missing's been noted, no elephants, and expectations to continue to make progress.
Okay, thank you, everybody. I'm Amy French, I'm doing well. I do not have any time constraints, although my calendar request says till 8 o'clock tonight. Surprised by it, I can tell. Okay. Thank you. Neither Donna nor I have seen so here. I don't know how many elephants, my expectations are orange circles. And to help you get to orange circles. All right, good afternoon, I'm Donna, I'm doing well. No time constraints, the missing's been noted, no elephants, my expectation is help you get to your 2 expectations. And with that, any paper is another logistical issue tonight. Elizabeth's gonna hang the back wall. Elizabeth said she would stop, she would hang on to it back in the room. Okay. Thank you, my friend. And, we did get minutes, prior to the meeting, so does anybody have any corrections or deletions to the minutes? Yeah. Oops, sorry.
Under the check-in, I believe Shanna's last name has a T in it. Johnston. And then on page 3, under the option 1, 2, and 3, I believe when we were talking about like option 1, that was Article 2.03 parentheses 3. And then the next one, option 2, had a 4 after 2.03. And then option 3 also had a 3 after 2.03. Just so that way it doesn't look like we replaced the language in all of that article.
Like this?
Yes. Yep.
All right, thank you, Anna. Anything else, Kurt?
That's all right. All right, I have 2 small things. On page 1, 3rd bullet under story, the word members should be plural. And top of page 3, under TALC report out, number 1, the word chance should be change.
Okay, anything change?
Change, yes.
Anything else with corrections, deletions to the minutes? From March 27th. All right, seeing no one hand going up, can we approve the minutes with the correction? Thank you. All right. In the minutes, we just made one correction about speaking to the superintendent, and Rob did tell me he did speak to the superintendent. So, you wanna go there next, Rob?
That's fine.
Okay.
And I know this isn't on our agenda, but I think it's just because we overlooked it. So this is regarding 2.03. I'm gonna have Teresa and Elizabeth pass out some proposed language that I myself drafted. This is, I looked at several districts' language regarding use of email. So once you get this, it'll speak for itself. It would have to be a new provision. So basically a new paragraph at the end of 2.03, because we don't have something specifically referencing electronic mail. So I hate doing this because I know everybody has to sit here and read it, but labor management was canceled this afternoon, so this is what we're gonna have to do.
All right, I'll give everybody a few minutes.
If there's extras, you guys can. So I'm open to any company, including from our team. Our team's just seeing this for the first time also, except for a couple of people. So I'm open to any comments.
Bert?
I guess I have a couple of things. Okay, let's see what this one works. So I see in the second paragraph, all communications shall be during non-instructional time. Does that mean that?
Sending.
So TALC would only be able to send emails through school email before and after? So before?
Earliest time?
So I mean, yeah, so what, before 6 o'clock and after 5 p.m.?
No, I think non-instructional time would be during planning. Yes.
So this you're not saying Kevin Daly from the TALC office that wants to send something out needs to do?
No, it's the sender.
The sender, okay.
That's the way I would interpret it, meaning if a teacher's supposed to be teaching class and they're your building rep, they shouldn't be sending out a union email during that time.
Okay, that I understand, okay. Sorry, let me take some notes here.
All right.
The other piece that I saw was related to, the word here is solicitation of non-members. So that's been one of our standard practices for, well, 20 plus years, is when a new employee comes on board minutes, we email them and welcome them to the district. And so under this language, it seems that would be not allowed anymore. Is there an issue with that communication?
No, there's no issue. We can certainly wordsmith this. This is just the starting point.
Okay. And the last question I have relates to internal election of TALC officers.
Yes.
That's been something that's been a past practice for quite a while, because it's an easy way to, to get everybody.
So
That's usually done during it's always done during non-instructional time.
tell me what that email usually
says.
So, TALC uses a system called election e-ballot. Thank you. I was thinking election buddy, that's a new one. And Carolyn Hutto is our elections chair. She works with, can't remember his name. Is it Jim Short? Yeah. To make sure that, because e-ballot sends an email to everyone's district email in TALC, says, hey, ballot's open and you have 48 hours to vote. And if anybody has a question, they communicate with Carolyn off district email. We have a TALC email that she uses.
Okay.
But the, I believe, and help me if I'm wrong, the DID is their login. And so it's been very easy to use district email.
Well, because I may be read differently than others, but I was thinking that was more or less so that it wouldn't be used for like campaigns. And like you're saying, it would be used for.
Okay. And that is appropriate, yeah. We never use district email for campaigning, so that answers my third question then.
But that would be, I believe that would be a violation of our election rules and our election laws within TALC, so that's not that would, like if I sent an email to TALC members like, hey, don't forget to vote for me, I would be violating rules that we already have in place.
That's against federal law.
Yes, it's against, I just want you to know, it is against federal regulations and rules, we can't. Now, like, I'll email, like, I'm not when I'm running, but I'll email people, just don't forget to vote, or you should receive this email today. But no, that would be a violation of our rules, just so you guys know.
I have a question, Rob. The first point, Kerr, is the only time you do that when the person's a new employee?
Yes.
All right. So we could say it shall not be used for solicitation of non-members except for when an individual is newly hired to the district or something like that. But you don't do it ongoing, do you?
Email, 1 second, hold on.
Yeah, one of you are, right.
I just turned it off. All right, so I'll use my teacher voice. I didn't realize I had one. Lois usually sends that from the TALC office, but I can imagine some other folks maybe at the building may say, hey, we're having a meeting over here. If you're interested in joining the union, you stop by room 302 at the end of the day. So a building rep may want to email the folks in the building. I'm not sure how often that happens. But from the TALC office, that only happens as soon as they're a new employee.
Right, so I was thinking we could make an exception to that language for the new employee or a new union member, or a new bargaining unit member. But you're telling me it may go on at individual building.
Anybody want to speak to that?
And I don't want to create a problem because we haven't had any major issues with this.
I'm sure it does happen.
Amy?
Usually what we do is we go around and talk to new employees and tell them about the union and discuss the things that the union does for the bargaining unit. But there might be an occasion where we do send an email and say, hey, we're having a meeting this Friday before school, about 20 minutes before school starts, come to room whatever, pick up a donut and listen to what we have to say. So it doesn't happen maybe more than a month, but it might happen monthly.
Jill?
I was gonna say too, when someone, at the beginning of the year, will send an email out to all teachers at the school to try to figure out if you have new teachers coming from another school, are they a member? Because sometimes our member rosters take a little bit to update. And then also letting people know that if they're new and they're interested in joining, who they can speak to, where they can get information from. And then during the year, if you have new teachers come in, because that's been hired during the year, you may email them and just introduce yourself as the rep because you can't always speak to people or have time. So it's not constant solicitation. It's not like every month the non-members are getting an email, but there are a handful sent to make sure that everyone is aware that we have an association and the people they can reach out to and speak to if they're interested in joining or want information about what TALC does and who we are in the district.
Anna? Okay. All right. Anything else?
I was
Yeah, go ahead.
You know, my rep sends out information.
Hold on in, Mike is coming.
I thought I had a teacher voice too.
I know that my rep sends out emails. They're not bombarding, they're not intrusive, just to let people know because we are hiring so many people throughout the year. Like, it's difficult.
Thanks, Ann.
All right.
Anybody else?
Sorry.
That's okay.
Make that more circle, please. So if we took out that clause and just said, it shall not be used for campaign materials related to the internal election of TALC officers. I guess that's,
Yes.
okay.
Whole sentence?
No, we're just taking out the solicitation part and then adding the word campaign
Okay.
before materials.
Yeah.
Tell me what name you get this. Second paragraph.
I got you right here.
Second paragraph.
Line 5.
Can I just copy this, put it up there, or you can give it right back to you? Campaign. Okay, anything else? So this is actually not.
The only option is the amended.
Right.
I don't know. The original.
Right. All right. Anybody else? Yes, Amy.
We were also going to change that all communication from teacher lead rep shall be during non-instructional time. Was that, because it just says shall be during non-instructional time, did we want to change that? To make it say from teacher rep or during?
Yeah, no, the senders, non-instructional time?
From the sender shall be, yes. Because it could be another member, not
True.
necessarily the rep.
Right. Could be anybody. From the sender. Okay, right.
During the senders, non-instructional time.
All communication shall be during the sender's non-instructional time.
I think that's what Rob was saying.
That sounds about right, Roy. All communication shall be during the sender's non-instructional time. Yeah. We just need the general idea that it doesn't mean.
Well, we were talking about whether to say shall be during the sender/employee's non-instructional time or something like that. I don't know. Because you don't have non-instructional time and you said that it's potentially. So.
And I don't know what someone's non-instructional time is, and I expect them not
That's why we
to
can't have.
pause the class and say, hang on, I gotta read a message from the unit. Right?
All you have is not instructional.
We're supposed to be instructing.
No, her. You guys, yes.
But there's no way you can know, as you said, everybody's schedule, so you know when their non-instructional time is, unless you do before and after or through school. Right. All right, anything else on this proposed language, Kurt?
I think I would like to caucus with the team for a few minutes, and see where we are with this.
Okay.
Maybe 10?
Is that room?
That room's maybe empty. Is that room empty, Elizabeth?
We can hear everything they say in that.
This room is empty over here, I think. Fine.
There's some room behind these boxes too, if not.
It's our room. Our room is.
We can go in here. Is that
Yeah, we're good. Yeah, we'll go with that.
That's where we could.
Yeah, we'll go with that. All right, you're gonna August too?
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll go in here, stay here, and stay here.
No, I don't know your clock.
going to ask Al for their caucus report, please. The district is not caucus, so, and then we have two people we need to check in.
All right, so we talked about the option and we have some suggested edits to it. So that's pretty much our caucus done.
Okay.
I can share the suggested edits as an option.
Okay. Is it a lot of them?
You want to do the check-in first and then I can do that, or do you want to do the option first?
Yeah. Let's do the check-in first, then we can come back to the options that you came up with. So I have Suzette and Shannon.
Okay,
So it's behind you.
thank you. All right, I'm Suzette Rivera, I'm doing well. No time constraints now. Missing has been noted, no elephants, and my expectations are to continue to make progress.
Okay, thank you.
I'm Shannon Johnston, I'm doing well. I do have a time constraint of 6 o'clock tonight. Missing's been noted, no elephants, and my expectation is also to make progress.
Just put 6 o'clock, time constraint with Shannon's initials. Thank you. All right, now I think we're ready. Go ahead, Carl.
All right. So first, I appreciate all the work on this. This is just some wordsmithing. It's gonna look like a lot, but it's really not a lot. So one thing, first off, is to change the word union and the word TALC to the association.
Okay.
That's the way it's referred to in the rest of the contract.
Sorry.
It's all right. There's a lot of those.
Association capital?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, so the next one is line 3 of the document.
Yeah.
So right now, Rob, it says scheduled meetings and implementing the CBA. We wanted to add a third item. So there'd be a comma there and delete the and. And official business of the association. I can comment on that in a few minutes. So that line would read, scheduled meetings, implementing the CBA, and official business of the association. I need to back up a little bit. I missed one thing. The very first line, we would like to change the word may to shall.
Line 1.
Yes, I missed that one.
May shall.
I think we got that one. Rob, the change in the second paragraph, first line, where we added the senders, so during the sender's non-instructional time, has that already been captured?
Yes.
Okay. How about the next, where it said that it shall not be used for campaign materials related? That was changed as well? Okay. Then the last thing is the last line of the second paragraph. We would like to add to the end after the word system for up to 45 calendar days.
So that's line paragraph 2.
Yes.
Up to
45 calendar days. So just to remark on the official business of the association, and I can pass down to some of my colleagues for that as well. Yes. TALC sends out a number of other items that may not be related to enforcing the CBA. They do scholarships for graduating seniors of TALC members. We do an administrator of the year, and about to do an assistant administrator of the year, maybe assistant AP of the year. So, there are a number of just, a lot of good community causes, and didn't want any of those things, PD opportunities, to be precluded from folks that are sending those things out. And I think that's it.
Rob?
So I don't want to prohibit you from doing that either, but I'm just wondering if an official business of the association should be defined. Because I think that's very broad, and it could provide an opening to say, well, that was the official business of the district, even though it was not something that was appropriate. I think that would be a concern from our side. So, I don't know if you want to take these one by one, because I was wondering about a couple of the others.
Yeah, how are you gonna proceed? I'm fine.
Okay, so then, the other one, the changing of the word shall, from may to shall, it actually may is appropriate because you could lose the privilege. You know what I'm saying? So, that's why I think I used may, because there may be times when, you're proposing a 45-day period, but there could be a period of time where you don't have the use of it. So that's why may is in there.
All right, did you have?
And then I wanted to understand the 45 calendar days.
Can you explain the 45 calendar or?
Sure, I can do the 45 calendar days. So we did some looking in some other contracts across the state as well, and some of them had a time certain. According to the way this is written, it could be indefinitely. To be very frank, we have an elected superintendent coming in a couple of years and really unsure what that may look like from term to term. So we feel strongly that some sort of sunset date on there would be appropriate. 45 days is half of a semester, or a quarter, so it seemed long enough, I guess.
Robert, okay. Do you know if you were continuing on that
I
same?
am, but I suspect, yeah, it is.
Okay.
One of the things that we had in our conversation was, kind of the difference between, the association and an individual member. So like, say a representative, could this apply to, let's say Jill, she can't email because she violated this, so she can't email for 45 days. Are we just strictly talking about the association as a whole no longer sending information?
No, this contemplates the association, because that's who the agreement with. Obviously, if you violate the terms of use of your email in some other way, the district has appropriate discipline for that, so.
So this is
As an individual.
Association, not as an individual.
My concern about the calendar days, I'm not necessarily opposed to a limit, but if something is truly egregious, and something is fairly not egregious, the 45 days is for both. Or I guess you said for up to. Okay, all right, so if it's fairly minor, like it's not a huge district-wide problem, you're suggesting by saying up to that the superintendent could limit it to like 15 or 30 or have that discretion.
Maybe I'm getting too far down into the weeds here, but who would determine if it's egregious? And can we point to anything that TALC has sent the last year or so that has been? I'm just genuinely curious.
I've been around here 17 years or so, and I can't point to anything, so.
I think we save those for personal emails maybe, but. Understood. Yeah, okay, but no, your point, yeah, for up to 45 days, that gives some, progressive discipline type of leeway in there.
There was an email from the president that, I don't know if district email was used, not long ago, a couple months ago.
The president of TALC?
Yes.
Okay.
From Kevin.
Okay.
The members about our implementation or our finalizing the tentative agreement. I don't know if district email was used or not, but that may have violated this in some way, potentially.
I'd have to look at the email you're talking about, I'm not
But I'm
sure.
just saying that Because that kind of suggested people on the district side were not necessarily doing things, so. But I don't know if he just used,
Personally.
yeah, I don't know what email was used.
Typically, the personal email lists are reserved for things that are, I like the words here, political. I don't think we send anything that's slanderous, defamatory, or libelous, but anything that would be,
That's the only thing that comes to mind.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Jill, do you have something or has it been covered? And then Will, no, Jill's answered that all in his hand.
So, and I know that we have to be mindful about the language we put in the contract, and I don't want us to go down into the weeds. But to us, official union business is business that's been approved by our executive board. So any events, like for example, our scholarship, our, admin of the year, events that we have, those have gone through TALC executive board, and then, Sam Hauer, who was recently promoted, was our communications chair, and any communications that she put together were approved by officers. So official means that it's actually coming through the approval process of TALC leadership. It's not just anything random. These are programs or events or communications that have been reviewed and looked over by officers of the union.
All right, Will.
I know Kurt already mentioned progressive discipline. I guess one of the questions that I have is just wondering again if I'm reading it the same as other people. When it says that someone shall not send it and that there's the right to suspend the use of electronic systems, I think in some cases that already exists. And I think as you're talking about it, it would have to be egregious because if you're taking someone's district email away, that means they're not able to email students, parents, coworkers about other things where I think, like you said, if it was the sort of thing where, there needed to be a conversation or there needed to be, some formal write-up, I think Article 9 would take care of that. And I just say that without getting into the specifics of what would or wouldn't constitute a violation of that. But I wanted to make sure that I understood that the same as everyone else. It's not like we're taking email addresses back from people.
All right, Roger, then. Dorothy?
So based on what Jill said, could we include a sentence? Well, I can put it up there. Official business of the association shall include items approved by, what is it called, the TALC? Executive board? I mean, would that be, well, I can put it up there as an option and see what we can about.
So the option one, well, it would be a change in option one, if that's the language we're talking about, right?
Well, it's actually adding to hers option 3. I'm not adding it to his, I'll just put it separately.
Yeah, I just want to know what it applied to, is it this?
Yeah. So it would be option 4, I guess, right?
3. We have option 1 and 2. Okay.
Official business of the association. I'm going to change this a little. Official business of the association is defined as items approved by the TALC executive board. Is that the right term, executive board?
Yes.
Okay.
Association.
Oh, I'm sorry, the association.
Thank you.
Okay, Kurt, you're next.
I forgot, Donna.
Uh-oh.
That's right. Will has his hand up.
Oh, I remembered.
Sorry, Will.
Just throwing it out there, we have one department or one, special class of teachers that they only can communicate through
or electronic communications, that's what virtual school teachers. And so as Will was talking about not precluding folks from using that, it popped in my head that we do have one special group they may not ever see anybody. You know, they can only communicate through electronic means.
This doesn't contemplate individuals.
Right,
It's
right.
just the association.
All right, Bill?
Just to clarify or add to what I was saying, the acceptable use policy, which is board policy 2.20, has a lot of really similar language to what we're talking about. And I know everyone has also completed all of their mandatory trainings, so we also know there's no smishing, phishing, vishing, DDoS attacks, no shoulder surfing and that kind of stuff that we have to worry about with this either.
Thank you, Will.
If I capture this like this, Will, the acceptable use policy addresses the egregious.
I think just that the acceptable use policy addresses some of the situations we've been describing.
Okay.
And it's 2.20.
Thank you. Okay. Anything else on any of this article, proposed language for 2.03?
So,
Yeah.
just to make a straw design, I think.
Right. All right, so just to go over it all, Amy, you want to go read your,
Okay, so for my option one, we have changed the proposed email language in the second paragraph to, it shall not be used for campaign materials related to the internal election of town officers. The second part of that is to change all communication shall be during the sender's non-instructional time. So there's two parts to this option one. In option two, we have changed union and TALC to the association throughout the whole language. And then line 3, comma, and official business of the association. Line 1 would change may to shall. And the last line in paragraph 2 would be changed to up to 45 calendar days. Option 3 says that official business of the association is defined as items approved by the association's executive board.
Could you repeat that one more time, please?
Which one?
3.
Official business of the association is defined as items approved by the association's executive board.
all right, Rob, you had your hand up.
Yeah, before I propose a straw design, I can't approve or option 2 is troublesome with the word shall in there.
Okay.
So it's cursed, so I can't change it.
Sure.
We can strike that piece of option 2.
So I can strike, change may to shall.
Yes.
Line 1.
So that's, yeah, line 1, okay. Thank you.
All right. Now, do we have a straw design proposed?
So
Rob, you want to propose one?
So I think it's 1, 2, and 3.
Okay. That covers all the options. All right, any further questions or clarification needed? I think our interest for this, Article 2 is not up here. Okay. I think it would update.
Wait, big raises was in there somewhere.
That's right. No, it's not there.
So, you can look back in your minutes, it was in that first. That first one.
So I think
Anybody can find it.
the one thing that needs,
We didn't have update.
the one thing that needs to be clarified is that this is a new section.
Yeah.
So it would be paragraph 12 in 2.03.
Okay,
Like, we're not adding it or
no,
amending any current language.
right. But we still follow the same interest, and I know we had consistency in there and updating outdated language.
It'll be paragraph 12.
Yes. So it would be 2.03
Parentheses
12. Kirk.
Just a question about the numbering, if, if it makes more sense to put that in and say number 4, number 5 when we get to a TA, is that all right as for
Yes.
wordsmithing?
I understand the point.
All right,
Okay.
then I would like to call to test.
All right.
Straw design A,
Star design A, options 1, 2, and 3. May I see thumbs if you are okay with this star design? All right, Amy met one of the expectations. We have one orange circle.
Two, I did the minutes.
Oh, the minutes were 2 orange circles. Amy counts every orange circle. Because we had the minutes as well. Okay, let's, give us a chance to get this paper switched around. And while we're switching around paper, LaShonda, would you like to check in? It's on the back wall.
Good afternoon. My name is LaShonda Hutchins Cologne. I am the grades 3 through 5 math coach at Franklin Park Elementary. And I'm okay. No time constraints besides being late. My apologies. This is noted, no elephants, and my expectation is continue to make progress.
Thank you, LaShonda. All right, I've had a request for a 5-minute bio break, and that'll give us time to switch papers around, so if that's okay with everybody? Okay.
or family member or whatever, but he's the
I have Civic Seal of Excellence. So,
I'll tell you.
Rob, are you gonna get us started on that one?
Yeah, well,
Or?
So, for those that are not aware of what this is, the state, not the district, has provided funding for teachers to receive a Civics Seal of Excellent endorsement and receive a stipend. I think it's $3,000, right? Is that? If individuals take a state course, and it's for the first 20,334 teachers in the state to complete it. And I think we've had a number of teachers complete it here, and I think it's being paid, Kevin, this upcoming payday. So we just wanted to discuss that with you all. There's no requirement that we have any type of an agreement necessarily, although it would be nice to just acknowledge it and say that we're both supportive, the district and the union. I'm not commenting on what's in this civics training currently, but that's basically what the program is.
All right, thanks. Jill?
So, because, I don't know if you guys have gone and looked at the program, because technically any licensed teacher can take it.
Right.
So I don't know, we do have licensed teachers on both sides of the table. But the program is like, you sign up and it's like 16 weeks, and then there's new programs. So, and these are just some questions I have, and I don't know if anyone can answer them. How will the district, because I don't know if it's the district, do you guys know how you'll be notified when the number of people who can receive the supplement is hit? Okay. So like there's 20,000, right? So are you gonna receive notification somehow from the state so that, I'm just wondering, because obviously people are completing this in phases, and it started back in January, and the first group was like January to March, and it seemed like every couple weeks a new group started, and I think there were more learning slots than financial slots from the state. So I just didn't know, like, if you had that information. It doesn't affect what we need to agree to, I'm just wondering.
What I know we've received is a list of the folks to pay.
So we received a list of the folks to pay from the state. Whether or not I don't think they tapped out the 20,000. I'm not aware of any notification at this point, but I suspect that will happen. So I'm assuming DOE will put something out saying the number that the legislature allocated for has been reached. And I can ask Mr. Calvi, do you have a rough estimate number of how many there are currently? Okay, in the 20s, here in our district.
Okay.
Right, and that's the first batch, so.
First batch, like Jill said, it goes in phases. All right, Shay had her hand up there.
I was just gonna say the last cohort ends September 25th.
Just out of curiosity, because I know people ask me, when you say the first batch, was that the first group that went through? I know, and if you can't answer it, I totally understand. It's just, I know some people that just finished last week. I know some people that finished a month ago, so I was just kind of wondering.
Received from the state, I suppose, right? Yeah.
Okay,
This
thank
is like
you.
the first list that we received.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
All right, Will, did I see? Okay. Anything else? Any other questions? Clarifications? Okay, where do we need to go with this? Sure.
Are you anticipating that this will live in Article 10.03 with the other incentive and bonus programs listed in the contract? I know it's not a bonus program, but I think that may be the best place.
Kevin?
I apologize, I said 20-something, I think it's 100.
Oh.
So I just wanted to clarify. I'm trying to count, but I just roughly 100-ish.
Thanks, Kevin. Will?
I think at some point we had like a little bit of a broader conversation about like conceptually, some of the endorsement and certification stuff, and I know, there's stuff that the state makes money available forward to the district that, whether it's endorsement or certification stuff, the computer science one is the other one that comes to mind, and I know that there's the added step of having to either get an MOU or get some language in place to address that. I think the first thing that we wanted to do was to be able to decide, are we good to pay this? Because we plan on paying it, and have been getting questions, and I think you guys have been getting questions too. And then I think the second thing is kind of what you asked, do we need to look at the language and maybe open it up a little bit more for future situations like this if we anticipate that this is going to be an ongoing thing? Because I don't know if the Civic Seal of Excellence is going to be around next year. I know we thought the computer science thing was going to be around for 1 year, and 3 years later, 5 years later, it's still being paid out. So.
This, I just printed the webpage from the DOE. It says that, that they're anticipating full implementation for the 23-24 school year. I don't know what that means, if they're upping the cap on how many folks can be paid or not.
All right, Will?
In the current language that you referenced to from the contract, it has stuff about certification for a critical shortage area, and it has something about the reading endorsement specifically. I know that in the past, just looking at MOUs, we've talked about things like, people possibly being eligible, and it's all kind of first come, first served. All of the funding is like restricted use for whatever the particular purpose is that we're told it can be used for. But it's for things like people that need to do professional development to get the computer science certification, or reimbursement for testing costs, or, having it and teaching the course that it's intended to help with, the reading endorsement one. That's great if everyone has a reading endorsement, but the whole purpose behind it is because we need more people to teach reading, and we need them to be endorsed or certified to teach reading, so.
So, Rod?
So listening to Will and Kurt and others, I think our charge is to come up with some generalized language that would cover things like this that might come along. So we don't have to necessarily bargain every time the state comes up with a new program to pay teachers additional money. And I don't have that language on the tip of my tongue, but I think that's kind of sort of what we're talking about.
Okay, that makes sense, and I think that's a better way to go than enumerating an exhaustive list of every new program that comes across. And while we're at it, it'd be nice to add in the automatic payment of the career ladder movement language, because that's always been a holdup with an MOU as well.
All right, so do we want to do this evening, or do you want to process it some more, Jill?
I just have a quick question for Kevin. Does this get taxed, or does the employee get $3,000 Okay.
It's a stipend. So, the state gives us 3,000 to spend, so we take the taxes off, and I think, like 2,700 something, that actually gets paid out, and then employee taxes come out of that as well.
Okay. And then the only reason I asked is because I went to some trainings with the state over the summer, and the organization that paid us was FGCU, it wasn't the district, and they didn't tax anything. And so I just wanted to make sure that that would be communicated to employees, because when the state held the programs and they sent us the stipends, they didn't tax them. And that's why I asked that question, because that's gonna probably be confusing if people did both programs.
We have to pay taxes on ourselves.
So just to clarify that point, I'm looking at the MOU between the state and the district, because we had to agree to one with the state, and it says, upon receipt of payment from the department, DOE has provided below pay a $3,000 stipend to the eligible teachers that successfully complete the training, subject to appropriate reductions and withholdings as determined by the district. So yes.
Okay. Any other questions, clarifications? Do you want to hammer this out now, or do you want to?
I think,
I know Will has some rough language, but it's real rough. So, yeah, I think, I mean, if, for the purposes of an orange circle, I think the parties could agree that they're gonna
Okay.
draft language to cover
What's option?
statewide programs, providing teachers additional compensation or something.
So can we say labor management will draft language?
and bring it back.
And bring it back to the whole group?
To address state incentive bonus programs, incentive/bonus or incentive programs?
I say just state programs that will provide additional
Thank you.
compensation
program?
to teachers. This is, yeah.
Yeah, this isn't gonna be the language, this is just the option, so we don't have to pick all the correct words out. This will give us the idea. Yeah, it says labor management will work on language to address state programs that will provide funding for teachers.
I said,
Oh, go ahead.
will provide additional compensation to teachers.
That's what I thought. Thank you. That sounds better, yeah, thank you.
Will,
I think with that, like, I know Kurt mentioned, we don't want to get to the point where we have this exhaustive list in the contract, but we might be able to, in labor management, figure out where are the places that this is occurring and get that into the minutes at a later bargaining session.
okay, perfect. All right, so we have option one up there. Anybody have another option? No, another option is to do it here and now. All right, can we want to vote on this, just this option? So may I see thumbs, please? All right, another orange circle. Excellent. Thank you.
Yeah, just on the heels of that, I don't want to lose sight of what Kurt said, and I know it's in Will's mind too, about the career ladder, so that's not part of that, but it is something that we don't want to have an MOU every year to sign.
Okay. All right, next we have Article 12, leave. Seems that we've been working on this one for a while.
Oh, rub it in there.
You want me to get it right now?
I know. So, Article 12, where are we beginning? I know language has been worked on. So,
Kurt, I know you talked about the crosswalk.
I know you talked about the crosswalk and wanting to go through a detailed conversation about that. You want to do that in labor management or here? Yeah.
I think it would be better in a smaller group. Because we need to sit down and see where stuff went and, where it went to from the old contract. To the
Sure.
And the crosswalk is helpful, but, I think the person that wrote it would be better to answer questions,
Yeah, so, and I don't want to put you on the spot, but I kind of am. Do you think you would have maybe a subgroup of targeting? Is that what you're talking about? Okay.
Sure.
I mean, because we have several people in there, Amy and others and Kevin. Okay.
I think maybe a meeting that's not in a labor management meeting would be better, because it would.
Me too.
It would get eaten up by labor management. I would prefer to start there than here with a quagmire.
Okay.
Yeah.
all right, and then to refresh your memory, we do have Article 12 snapshot up here. And the story, it was bereavement leave, crosswalk for proposed language, which is what we're forming that subcommittee for, correct?
Yes.
Increase paid leave, vacation time accrual, disaster leave, paternity leave, and pregnancy ADA. Our interests for employee morale, consistency, equity, safety, leave when sick, and get it done. Okay. And the data was expected use of language from other contracts on leave, and the number of instances of compassionate leave. And I think that's pretty hard to do, was pretty hard to do. So, with that, yes.
So I don't know if we want to tell a story. I mean, if some of these are, I think, from the union, some of them are from us, I suspect. I can't remember who put what on the snapshot as far as the story. So I don't know what some of these mean. Like vacation time accrual, was that ours, Kevin?
No, that was ours.
Okay.
I can talk about some of these if you want.
Yeah.
All right, so why don't we start the story then?
Let me just pull up my notes here. So I can start with the vacation time and the personal leave. I don't have the statute in front of me, but I believe that the language that's in the contract that limits the maximum accrual of vacation time is lower than the limit in Florida statute. I hope that made sense, because I got lost as I was saying this. And perhaps even the same with personal days. I believe statute allows for the use of 6 days to be used as personal days, and our contract says 5. We've had this rewrite out for quite a few years because Article 12 is just hard to read, not just for employees, but for administrators as well. And it seems like it's kind of one of these Frankenstein articles that every time something needed to be added, it got added to a place that's referenced in some other place, and something that's more clear and concise that mimics the process that the employee goes through when they request time off, so that there's not so many, just so many different options that are out there. Kevin has really advocated for compassionate leave and bereavement leave. I know that he wants to have a conversation around those. I believe that some employee groups are eligible for compassionate leave under, I guess it's a contract, under like the schedule in contract or the administrator contract.
Salary's good.
Thank you, that's a better word. And so, bringing those provisions down to the other employee groups is one of our interests. But I think, Rob, just making it more clear, concise, and just easier to read and understand for the layperson and the administrator.
Okay. All right, Rob?
So the 360 for vacation, is there a proposal? I mean, for terminal pay purposes, the statute allows up to 480 hours. So I'm just curious.
I believe that's where we were going. I've got to pull the statute up to see. I don't know if it allows for to accrue vacation time in excess of 360 hours as well.
Wait, 480 or 360?
Ours is 360.
Rob said 480, sorry.
I just pulled up the terminal pay for vacation. It's 10/12/65, and it doesn't address the accrual. It addresses, maybe talking on the wrong end of this thing. Sorry.
It's all right.
I have flashbacks.
Flashback?
I have flashbacks to Anna's classroom every time I see these little microphone things. I'm sorry. It actually says a maximum of 60 days of actual payment, which I think if you multiply that by 8, I think that's the 480. Yeah. So it's got it in terms of days instead of hours.
Yes, Kurt.
Break my rule about asking a question you don't know the answer to. Do you know if there is a provision in Florida statute that prohibits an employee's vacation time to roll into their sick leave if they're up against the cap?
I'm going to answer your question with a question. Are you asking, like, I know we've talked about this some in labor management, and I think at some point Kim Hutchins described it as like the cascading, that like when you run out of one type of leave, so that you don't go leave without pay, you then use another type of leave. So it would use up your vacation, and then when you're out of vacation, so that we're not sending you a bill for your health insurance, it would automatically start using your sick. Is that the question, or? Okay.
My question relates to the cap and accrual. The maximum accrual is 45 days of annual, is that right? Hang on, vacation. Where's the cap? Yeah, so that says that an employee can accrue, let me make sure I'm in the right contract. I have them all open. Here we go. So Article 7, vacation time. I apologize. Yes, item 5 in 7.06. The maximum accrual is 45 days. And so if you're up against that cap and say that next pay period, I'm supposed to gain one more day, or however, hours, whatever. Since you're at that use it or lose it, and those hours are burnt, for lack of a better word, can we just roll that into somebody's sick time so that they gain a sick day or a sick hour instead of a vacation day or a vacation hour?
My computer just shut down, but I don't think you can, because I think there's specific statutory language that deals with sick leave and eligibility. And I want to say the two statutes are 10/12/65 and 10/12/61. And so the time is accrued separately and tracked separately, which I know has been kind of a point of frustration maybe when we've had different conversations and people have said, how come we can't do paid time off like most other, major employers do these days? And it's because statute says that this is the way that it's supposed to be configured.
Okay. Anything else for Story? Yes, go ahead, Kurt.
There's also one more item in Article 12, and that's the sick leave bank. 12.05 parentheses 10 remarks that the sick leave bank closed in 2019, and labor management's supposed to bring a recommendation to this body this year on how to move forward with the sick leave bank.
Okay, that's a good reminder, thank you. I don't think we had that in our original story about sick leave bank. We did not. All right, anything else for Story? Anna? Oh, I'm sorry. No, go ahead.
Kurt had said something a minute ago that made me think, and I know that we've talked about this before, but putting in leave into LMS and what's written in the article are two different things. Like, I know people always talk about, like, what is illness, death, other? What is, so I don't know how, just part of the story for clarity purposes. I know that that's really confusing for people when they put stuff into LMS. It just does not match up, and it's hard to determine what is what.
Okay. Rob?
Yeah, so to clarify, and I'm sorry. So LMS doesn't match up with PeopleSoft? The reasons in PeopleSoft? Oh, with the contract language, okay. All right.
So even as like an employee is putting, if I need to, because it just says if you're going to be out, you are to put it into LMS. But then you open up, I don't know, people could take off time in PeopleSoft, so that's something like new for me. But when we go into LMS and there's that drop-down menu, there is 10, 15 different choices in there that you could request off, and there's nowhere that anyone even explains that. And I know just, there's been confusion on people just putting in a sick day, putting in a personal day when you should, and this is just putting that leave into LMS. So.
No, thank you, that's good information, yeah. Okay. I did want to state that any, obviously, changes in leave have a potential financial impact on the district. And in the interest of full transparency, like everybody asked for at the commencement of our bargaining, I just want it to be made clear, currently, we have not had an executive session with the school board. And we're still trying to sort out exactly when that will be, but as you all know, we're in the middle of the legislative session, so, and hopefully we'll know more in a few weeks.
Okay, Amy.
I would like to bring up the, it's 12.02, number 1E1. It requires that an employee takes half a day instead of, and it has to be in half-day increments. It cannot be, oh, I need an hour, or I need an hour and a half, which ends up costing the school district more money. It takes the teacher out of the classroom more, so they don't have as much face time with students. And it's been that way since as long as I've been in the district, that we have to take a half day either for personal or for sick leave, even if we only need an hour. So, and I know probably the original cause of that was because subs only wanted to work for half a day, but now it's hard to get, it's a challenge to get subs anyway. So if we could narrow it down to 1 hour or do 1 hour increments instead, and that would be for both personal and SIP.
Okay, Hannah?
So I know, to piggyback off of that, I know at my school site, we've had to change that a little bit because, especially when we talk about class coverage, dun, 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 the dreaded words, right? Class coverage, and people being compensated for covering. If it's 1 o'clock and I have to leave to go to Mariner to pick up my daughter, we have to put that into LMS. So those employees are getting covered for that. So we are able to now do a customized couple of hours. So I don't know, and I'm seeing some of the principals shaking heads, that at other school sites, we may already be able to, in LMS, not do the whole half-day thing anymore. You wanna go?
Yeah. So, is it my turn? Okay. So I know that at a lot of schools, they do 1 hour or 2 hours or whatever is needed. But there are particular schools that the principal does hold them to this half day. And I just know this because recently I was contacted by 2 different members at 2 different schools, wondering why they couldn't just leave an hour early for a doctor's appointment. And I had to refer them back to the contract because that's what's in the contract. So I do see a need for a change here.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else? Carl?
Yes, as I was sitting here thinking, I've been doing that for a while, especially when it relates to coverage and using increments. So I was saying, boy, I violated the contract. I did not realize it. But like you said, with the whole coverage piece, it just seemed to evolve naturally to that because I had to show it in order to compensate someone. And so I have, and I don't think I'm the only one, but if I am, that's what I've been doing.
Well, I think that again, the contract hasn't kept up with the technology with LMS being able to do that and it says. So might be some other stuff that we need to catch it up to the rest of the world. Anybody else? Any other story?
Question.
Yes, sir.
We're having a limited sidebar over here about sick days. No, it's a good limited sidebar. Just for clarification, so yeah, the statute says that instructional staff earns 1 sick day for every month they work. So the 226 employees, they earn 11 sick days, is that right? And the 255s are 12? Is that right?
Per year, is that what you're asking?
Per year, yeah. 226s, are they?
It depends on how long you've been here, is that for vacation?
No, sick days. So they get 9 per year. I'm sorry, they get 11 per year, is that correct?
8 hours a month, yes.
226, and so the 255s would get 12 days per year. Okay.
So my question is about like, and maybe, I know Amy's not always supposed to answer questions, but I'm thinking like, for example, LLTs are 226, and I'm not sure what other instructional positions are 226, but it's my understanding when I speak to those employees that they're earning the same as a 196. And I think the statute would allow them to earn an extra day a year. If I'm reading the state statute correctly, and I could be reading it wrong, I'm not a lawyer, but they work an extra month and they're getting the same personal and sick as a 196, but they're working a month longer.
Okay. Amy?
Go ahead, Rob.
No,
Give a second.
Give me just a second, I'm looking something up so I can read it specifically.
Oh, okay. I could have filled a buzzer for you.
You didn't take the hint.
Not practicing.
Coming back with a bang.
Right. We need a name next to
You just have to say it, yeah. The Financial Brain Trust is sidebar.
We gave them permission to do that, so.
No hurry.
Sorry, got so quiet, I thought somebody was gonna be talking. But, specifically for the policy, the sick leave policy, board policy, which is 5.22. It talks about how people are earning, sick leave. So it talks about, each member of the instructional staff employed on a full-time basis. First of all, you get, four sick days at the first day of employment, right, for each contract year, so like your advanced leave, as we call it, and then shall thereafter earn 1 day of sick leave for each month of employment, which shall be credited to the member at the end of that month. So it's a day or however many hours, right, the person works. I said 8, but it's their number of hours that they work, right? But if you work 8 hours per month. And it says how each member is entitled to earn no more than 1 day of sick leave times the number of months of employment during the year of employment. So it's by their month, so I'm not sure, you were saying 226, it was earning the same as 196. So I have to go find some people and kind of verify, what it is that you're saying and how the days are falling. Because for each month, it's also, I was looking for the specific language that talks about that. The employee must work 1 day more than half the scheduled work days in the month to earn 1 day of sick leave for the month. So it also depends on how the calendar falls and whether they've earned a month or not. That was a whole long story to say that's what the policy says. That's how people are earning their sick leave, but we can go verify some people to look 226 versus 196 based on the calendar, how the work year fell and how the sick leave was accrued, and then come back to you with that information.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Amy. And Kevin. All right, anything else for Story? Come back with that one. Still have other leave, maternity leave, emergency ADA, disaster leave. Anything else for Article 12, Story? Will?
I know just because Article 12 has been on the list for a few years now, I know at one point there had been conversation, and I think this kind of goes with what Anna was saying, so not sure if we want to capture this for the minutes, but about The process in place at different schools is different. And so in some places, you make your request to the principal secretary. In other places, like you said, you enter it into LMS yourself. I know that at the district office, a lot of people go into self-service, and so they're familiar with, like you're saying, you know, the confusing self-sick other, self-sick personal, you know, self-sick, family sick, like just the coded stuff that we've talked about in the past. But I wasn't sure from the, like, principals in the room if they could give some insight into like how the school expectation kind of is at their school, or how that's set, or what the preference is, or the thought process, just for a story.
Anybody? Carl, Ben, Ann?
Well, I agree with Will. I think it's just as confusing at the school level as far as how it goes in. And then I think sometimes it depends on maybe the employee themselves. Sometimes they will call and let the secretary know that they're going to be out. Sometimes the secretary will find out because it was entered in LMS because they did it ahead of time. So, I mean, it really, I hate to say it kind of varies, but it does actually really vary even at the school level, really depending upon the situation, the circumstance. And I think even every school does it differently too. Some secretaries really want to control all of that. Some would prefer that the employees put all this stuff in, enter all of that into LMS and PeopleSoft. So I can't say that we're probably any more consistent than what it sounds like it may be at the other level as well.
Thank you. Okay, anybody else?
Yes, I was just gonna say, point is taken. I agree that the number of different types of leave that are out there are confusing for people. So point taken and agreed, it's confusing.
And now we can fix it. Alright.
What'd you say?
You're back, you caught up, we've met another expectation.
Anything else?
I think she was talking about this age.
Oh, this age.
I thought that too.
Yeah.
Alright, anything else? Article 12.
I'll throw this out there.
Okay, good.
I don't know if I have anything else. This actually may be a great place to stop for this evening. And maybe next week, we can sit down with our small subgroup and hammer this out and have something for the next bargaining session with less than 2 weeks, because it's on a Monday.
Yeah, that's right. And do we have any scheduled after the next one? I don't think we do.
We do, we
Yeah.
have a place
Oh.
to keep, a cleanup one on, I think, May 22nd.
Okay. So,
We have a place to
okay, so do we want to do that tonight?
What's our next session? I have the 24th,
Yeah.
then May 8th, and then the 22nd of May.
Oh, okay, so we have two. Okay, three more, but 22nd, 29th.
24th, May 8th.
24th, and May.
And May 22nd.
Okay. So I hear both Rob and Kerr agreeing to call things for tonight, get that subcommittee together. With something else we were gonna bring back. Oh, the civic seal and certificate and other things. We bring that back the next time. So with that, anything else for tonight?
Can I just,
Ann? Yeah.
I don't know if this is part of the story, but I just want to bring up one other thing. When we start talking about leaves, listen, I try really hard to approve leave for my teachers. Like, I get it, I really do, and I try to be really good about that. It is very difficult right now. It's very difficult for anybody to be out of my building. We cannot get subs, and my poor teachers are exhausted from covering. They're exhausted, and I'm very concerned about that. that even though it's difficult, I try to be very good about letting people have the time off because I know that they need it. But I also have to start being really careful that I'm not stressing out my teachers and my paras that are having to cover constantly.
Okay, point taken. Jill?
And to piggyback, I have a question. Does someone in central office down here, and I'm gonna use the word monitor loosely, but monitor, pay attention to teacher absences district-wide? And my question is more so in advance to anticipate issues, staffing issues in schools. And I have some more questions. No, this isn't necessarily.
Not sure related to bargaining, however, the answer is yes. I get the LMS report every day. I can tell you exactly how many guest teachers are serving and are not serving on a specific day. Regarding specific schools, it is up to the principal to communicate with academic services if they are having a dire situation or they may need help.
All right, thanks, Rob. Jill, another question?
You have something to add? Yeah.
Or you have something to add to that?
Yeah, I know, I don't know if this was part of what Jill was asking. I know at one point Calendar Committee had requested data on like what days people miss. I know that obviously is data that we've taken into account for that. I don't think that that's what you were asking about specifically though. But I also know with some of the class coverage stuff, because of the ESSER funding, there's probably been more attention and more data, which I think is kind of what Dr. Cole is talking about. There's a lot of moving pieces now, and some of that has been because of just the past couple of years and what we've been through throwing a hurricane, and it gets even more challenging. But so it's not, I think people are aware of on a much larger level and are looking at the data backwards looking. I don't know as far as being able to like kind of peer around the corner if we have that ability just yet.
Okay. And Jill?
I bring this up because to speak on Dr. Cole's issue, it is schools that are having high absentee issues, and we're getting into a section of the school year where there is not a day off. It's also, this quarter is the highest stress time of year with testing and all the other things. And so I say that because yes, you get a report. What's being done when you look at that report and you realize this school has 25 teachers out and doesn't have the staff to now safely run their school? They have 4 or 5 classes in an auditorium or in a cafeteria with a handful of people supervising them. What's the plan? What's being done so that in future, because this is going to continue to happen, this shortage is not changing of school personnel. So when we look at teachers needing to take their leave because they're so exhausted because they don't have planning, because they're going 7.5 or 8 hours with a very short lunch break, and they're having trouble making it day to day, okay? And like I look at the principals, someone still has to run the school. So Carl can't send every administrator, including himself, into these classrooms, right? Because you still have to run a school if there's an emergency. So what's being done to say we have to start deploying people from the district to severely high-need schools to give these teachers a break and to make sure that there's adequate staff on campus to keep every child and adult safe? Because there are schools that are down 25, 30% of their teachers, and if we don't have the subs for that, do we have the staffing to keep everyone in that school safe?
No. We're talking about leaves.
Right.
We're getting ready to wrap up.
No,
And I respect Dr. Cole's point because she was talking about approving leaves. And now we've gotten into coverage and.
No, and it's a safety issue, and I think that as we've seen more safety issues happening, It's just a question to bring forward.
And Kevin has asked us multiple times, and we've addressed it, so, yeah.
It's not meant to be argumentative.
Last word, Will.
Oh geez, don't put me on the spot like that. I was gonna say, I think there's a lot of data. I don't know if like specific in what you're saying. I know that at one point there were groups doing like green belt projects, on like staff attendance and the impact that obviously it has on student learning. And I know that the state at one point before the pandemic was, putting pressure on school districts to make sure that staff are showing up because there is no substitute that can do what you do. I think like you're saying, we're kind of hitting an extreme, on the other end of that with teacher shortages and just the amount of stress that puts on people. But I don't know if there's data or if that's a question like Rob's saying, to take up labor management, maybe if there's specific instances where you feel like it's not working the way that it's supposed to.
Okay, thank you. And with that, we'll back into the Tachi on the 24th.
I suspect so.
All right, we're back in the Tachi, April 24th. So we will see you then. Enjoy the rest of your evening.